Once again, we'd like to say thank you everybody for coming. We have the Ouachita Valley, we have Cool, and we have the Express Star, and we have several people from various organizations in town, other civic organizations in town that are, yeah, cool. I said cool. And the ranch, and whatever other group. We have financial institutions represented as well, right? We have the Optimist International District Governor for the Oklahoma District, Terry Watson. It's a great pleasure today to introduce our guest speaker. As many of you may not know, the motto for the Optimist Club is the friend of youth. And I believe we have a person that personifies that in our guest speaker today. I have his bio, but I'll let him tell you more about himself because he can do a better job than I can. But I wanted to tell you a headline that I did find. It says, "Von Schamann gets a kick out of helping youth in Oklahoma." Well, that's what the Optimist Club does. We get a kick out of helping the youth in Oklahoma and internationally. In fact, we have 2 zones, Zone 4 and 5, that have 11 sports clubs that have various sports entities. And some are maybe coming forward and doing the essay and oratorical and picking up their programs as the regular traditional clubs do. And the sports clubs begin in El Reno, and when they get to 35, they turn south and head to a town that's probably near and dear to your heart, Norman, Oklahoma. They have a very, very good sports program in Norman. So if you just give him a great Chickasha welcome and Grady County welcome, Uwe von Schamann.
Yeah, Chickasha, actually, some of my friends from years back, Joe and John, and I guess it's a pleasure meeting you, Margaret. We've been communicating through email, and you were worried that my email wasn't going to reach yours because of simply what your email said.
My email is Internet Cowboys.
When I was in college, I had a summer job, 2 summers in a row, and I worked right here in Chickasha. I worked for a mud company, and about 4 or 5 of us, well, I shouldn't say work, we probably didn't work a whole lot, but we were actually making $5 an hour anyway back in the 70s, so that was a lot of fun. And I've also taught some kids how to kick. The latest is Sterling Platinum, kicks right now for the high school. And I've had other, of course, I've had Joe's son Chris, who's a pretty good kicker. So I kind of have a history with Chickasha, and I always like to come back to Chickasha. But today I want to talk to you about what's really, what I'm really passionate about. Of course, youth, but a special population, and that's kids with disabilities. And I've been in that area for about 11 years. I'm now with the Children's Center Rehabilitation Hospital in Bethany. And if you want to look at this brochure, it kind of explains the different areas. We take care of kids from birth through 18. And you can see there the first area is complex care, and it kind of explains what that's all about. We take care of the kids that either have developmental delay or they have some kind of disorder from trauma, or neurological disorders, or orthopedic disorders, speech-language disorders, feeding and swallowing disorders. We have a lot of those kids that are on ventilators, probably about 25 kids or so that are on ventilators. So that part of the hospital, we have about 120 beds. And also, feeding and swallowing disorders, chromosomal abnormalities, severe medical conditions, and then also kids that have lost oxygen to the brain. So those are really severe medical conditions. So that's the complex care. And then we have an area where we have kids that, especially coming from rural areas, that there are a lot of accidents with ATVs. Kids just don't wear helmets. So we have kids with brain injuries, spinal cord injuries, and those kids, they're normal kids that just had a really severe injury. And those kids only stay with us for about 30 days. Now, the kids that come to us, we're the only hospital of our kind in Oklahoma. The kids that come to us come from Children's Hospital in Oklahoma City, about 75% of them, and the rest come from Tulsa, St. Francis. So that's where the kids come from. We're kind of a regional hospital, and there are only about 10 hospitals of our kind in the whole country. So really unique facility. Then we have the pediatric clinic, and in fact, let me back up. I had Coach Stoops come for a tour, and he went to. We had this kid that was in a car accident, and that area we actually have private rooms where the family or family member can stay with them, which is pretty cool. They stay there overnight. We feed them. They can just stay with the kid. And so Bob Stoops walks into this one room. This kid was just in an accident, and he had like OU all over the room, and Grandma was sitting right there. And the kid, he was kind of comatose. He didn't really know what was going on, so he was talking to the grandma. And Coach Stoops says, "I'm sorry you having a tough time right now." And she goes, "Well, you had kind of a tough time last year." So we got, once he was kind of recovering and kind of knew what was going on around him, we arranged for him to go to practice, to OU practice. And so his whole family came, and Stoops sent some of the players over, and they took pictures with Easton. And then at the end, the offensive coordinator came over, and he told them that they're going to dedicate the first touchdown to him of the season. And so they did that, and that was really cool, really moving. So that was really cool. The whole team just took a picture. So that was pretty neat. He's still there, and hopefully he'll be going home soon. I mentioned we have a pediatric clinic, and in outpatient therapy, we take care of, like the clinic, 2,300 patients each year, and from pretty much every county of the state. So it's a pretty cool place. We were founded by Maddie Mallory in 1898. She was on her way through Oklahoma City on a train. She just got a degree at a small school in Kansas, and she was just on her way through, and she just felt like God wanted her to stop and help out orphans. So it was an orphanage in those days. And then we treated polio, and then it became what it is today. So it's really, I hope that you at some point get a chance to come see for a tour. And again, we broke ground yesterday to add on to the hospital, to increase, to add on 40 more beds, 120,000 square foot, and that's what this brochure is about. And turn this off, I'm sorry. And so I'm really excited about that. We're in the middle of a campaign, a $22 million campaign. We still got a little ways to go, but we've had a lot of support from foundations across the state, including Tulsa. Some of the Tulsa foundations have really helped us out. In fact, we just got a grant, a challenging grant from the Maybe Foundation. You might have heard of them, $2 million. So we have to raise about $8 million within a year to get that $2 million. So it's quite the challenge. But what I'm in charge of is awareness. I don't know how many of you have heard of the Children's Center before or not. And so I'm going to travel around the state. We have a statewide campaign that kicks off today, trying to raise $1 million. And so we've broken broken the state into 5 different areas, and where we have kids that actually came from that part of the state that represent that. So that's basically what I'm doing. So if you have some questions, I'll be glad to answer some questions.
What's your time frame for getting this addition up and running?
Well, it'll take a couple of years to build, and hopefully by then we'll, we're hoping that we've always been really successful with raising money. So we're hoping that within the next year and a half, we'll be able to reach our goal with the campaign and the statewide.
Is it surgical units or is it just the rehabilitation?
Just the rehabilitation, yes. We don't do any surgery.
All right.
And we take, if it requires surgery, then we take them back to Children's Hospital, yes.
My question to you, are you a nonprofit, are you?
Yeah, we're not for profit, that's correct. We're private, not for profit, yes. Yes, absolutely.
Ooh, good.
Yeah.
Are you somewhere tied to Children's Hospital?
Yeah, we are, because we work hand in hand.
Okay.
Okay, so they need us, we need them, so absolutely, yes. Same with San Francisco and Boston.
Okay.
Absolutely. And we do get children from other states too. We're kind of a regional hospital as well. The really cool thing about when you walk into the hospital, there's a lot of activity going on. In fact, we have Wednesday, they come to our hospital, they're actually a resident of Bethany and Bethany schools. So we have classrooms, and it's all year round. And so you see all the kids around 10 o'clock or so in their classrooms, all these different activities. And depending on time of the season, it's around Christmas, we have the Christmas scenes and Easter, and it's really cool to just see the kids, how they interact with the therapists. And we have prom. We have OU football players that come for prom, and coaches, and we have a wrestling team that comes every year, and they're just great with the kids. They just love it. We have the theater that comes, the symphony that comes and plays for the kids, and just a lot of activity all the time. It's a really happy place. You would think it'd be depressing to go to work every day, but it's actually very inspirational. If you have a bad day, just come see us, and see what kind of challenges these kids go through on a daily basis. So it's a really, really, really neat place. But our budget is about $35 million a year. We have over 500 employees, and we'll add another 200 when we build the new building.
How long does it take to get in? Because I heard that you're having to turn away kids.
Yes, there's a waiting list, and that's why we're so excited to have build this additional 40 beds. So it's definitely a waiting list. But we don't turn anybody away. It's just that they have to wait sometimes.
So, what's the maximum number of kids you can have at any one time? 100?
120.
Yes.
Yeah, in one area, and then we have the kids with the brain injury or spinal cord injuries. We have about 10 rooms, private rooms, and there'll be some private rooms in a new facility as well. Yeah.
Do you have some outpatient?
Yes, and that's what I think I mentioned that, the outpatient, which is our 4th population is outpatient therapy, and we have probably over 3,000 on a yearly basis, and they come from all over the state.
Are you available to go down the road as a help the OSU kids?
Well, I do get private lessons, and I have, it's funny, last year I was invited to go watch an OSU game. My good friend, he has a suite, and I go, sure, I'll come up, and about halfway through the game, somebody bought me an OSU hat, and so I put it on, and somebody took a picture, and they put it on Facebook. You cannot imagine the response I got. Traitor. I go, so. Yeah. But I do give private lessons still. I did coach Stoops kicking camp for about 10 years. I have high school kids that I work with still, and so I enjoy that. In fact, I have my son, believe it or not, but he'll be 7 in 2 weeks. So I think I might make a punter out of him. I don't want him to really be a kicker. It's too much pressure on him. You know, I wouldn't want him to sit in the stand and have to watch that. So, but my oldest son, he's 24. He's a professional baseball player. He plays for the
Rubber ducks.
the Rubber Ducks. With the Cleveland Indians. He's in AA in Akron, Ohio. So he just came home. So those are my kids. I'm done. If you're in the area, I want you to come by and take a tour. I think you'll fall in love with it.
Do you take referrals from all different doctors? I mean,
Yes,
states which you-
correct. Yes,
Do you deal with also the local clinics and hospitals?
that's correct.
Communities?
Yes.
Are the families charged anything?
I'm
Are
sorry?
the families of the children charged anything?
No.
Really?
Yeah. It's all taken care of.
Kind of like St. Jesus.
That's St. Jude's.
Exactly, and that's exactly right. You know, that's what we are.
Do you work with any local nursing schools like Southern Ezra, which is literally across the street almost?
Yeah, that's not what I do, but yes.
Well, I'm just sorry, your
Yeah, oh, absolutely, absolutely. We have a real close relationship. We have, in fact, we've contracted with, I don't know how many schools, but we have probably about 12 or 13 different schools that we contract with as far as doing their rotations, nurses and therapists, and you see them there all the time. And then we have the Stillwater ones with the really bright orange shirts running around, so.
We're easy to find.
Yeah, easy to find, so.
Does this internship, does it lead to a lot of the kids, once they graduated,
Mhm.
coming back to you?
Absolutely, and it's the best way for us to hire, because they've been there for several weeks, and we have lots of them that we end up hiring, absolutely. Yes, another area we need to raise money is the ventilators, because they have to be replaced after about 50,000 hours, something like that, and they cost about 18,000 per ventilator. And with the new hospital, you know, we're gonna need all that too.
Is there an age cap?
Yeah, 18.
18?
Yes. I'll give you a couple of examples of some of the kids that we have. In fact, these are the kids that are going to represent the 5 different areas. We had this one girl, she a 16-year-old, she was placed in a medical induced coma, and she spent nearly 1 month we spent with her saving her life, and she was, or the children's hospital was, and then she was transferred to our hospital, and she went home and she's back in school and more. So that's one of our girls. Another boy, he weighed only 1 pound at birth. Came to our hospital, and his mother was told he wasn't going to survive. He was transferred to our children's center, and he learned how to walk and breathe on his own. And now he's back at home in Enid, and he's like 4 years old. And so he was at the groundbreaking yesterday. Another example, Ella, she was diagnosed with a rare disease of central nervous system, leaving her so weak she could not move, eat, or recognize her own family. And so she came to our hospital, was treated, and she's now attending school in Bixby and pursuing a passion for music. So that's another miracle. You know, miracles happen here all the time. And then Layla, she was diagnosed with a neurological disorder that left her paralyzed from the neck down. And now she's a 3-year-old, never stops moving, and looking forward to having her go home. She's from Lawton. And then Brooklyn, she was diagnosed with a chromosomal disorder at birth, and she's today, Brooklyn now is playful, curious, a loving 2-year-old at home with her family in Durant. And that's the thing, when they come to our hospital, we have an exit plan right away. You know, within 2 years, we want them to go home to their families. And so that's what we do.
You definitely need one of those.
Well, I'm glad I made my first stop on my statewide tour in Chickasha. Some of my old friends here, so.
And we're certainly glad you came.
So why did you decide to stay in Oklahoma? I mean, you came here when you were 16?
I went to high school in Fort Worth, learned my English in Texas, and then I came to OU, and I always liked the people here in Oklahoma. After I retired from football, I lived several other places, but I always was drawn back to Oklahoma and been back since 80s, I guess, late 80s, early 90s. Yeah.
Since they brought this up, this movie with Jim Carrey when they played.
Yes, yeah, they had actually showed one of my kicks in the movie, Ace Ventura. So when people have trouble with my name, I always tell them, well, you remember the character in Ace Ventura, his name was Ray Finkel.
Yeah.
So you just call me Ray. I always tell the story when I was first drafted by the Dolphins, they asked me how I like Coach Shula. And so far, and I said I like him a lot because first time I met him, he pronounced my name right. I gave all the 4 years at OU, Coach Schweitzer never did pronounce my name. He knows it now. He knows it now. All right then, thank you so much.
Thank
for
you.
letting me come speak to you.